when you're moving to a new country, there's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty alone. Where am I going to live? Am I going to make friends? Am I going to fit in? Am I going to enjoy this? It's exciting, but it can be a little bit nerve-wracking at the same time. I think where Fibrenew may help with that is when you move to a new city in the US, the service will be needed. So if you open a Fibrenew franchise, you know that consumers and businesses alike are going to need your service. There's leather, plastic, and vinyl everywhere. It's a proven business model. We've been operating since 1985.
Patrick Findaro here, co-founder at Visa Franchise. Jesse Johnstone is joining us with Fibrenew. He's the co-owner at the franchise brand level, as well as their president. 200 plus locations throughout Canada as well as the US. Jesse, thanks so much for joining today.
Happy to be here, Patrick. And just one quick note, it's actually 300 plus now locations.
Wow. So, when did you cross the 300 note mark?
A few months ago, and we're inching towards, more and more all the time. We're definitely in growth mode.
Well, Jesse, maybe we could just first start. What is Fibrenew? What do you guys do?
We're the experts in leather, plastic, and vinyl restoration. And one of the first questions we're asked when we say that is, well, okay, what does that actually mean? And I think if we break it down, that's probably the best way to explain it is you've probably seen damage in your car seat or a steering wheel, or maybe your armrest, where you rest your elbow all the time on your armrest in your car. We'll go in and repair that, restore it. And I think the key difference to highlight here, Patrick, is that we try to use the material that's there already. We're not necessarily just going to replace it or recover it. We try to use the existing material. We design and manufacture our own products and repair compounds and color mixing techniques and whatnot to repair, restore what's there already. Not only in cars, but we do a lot of work in furniture. So pet damage, we love pets. When they use a couch as a scratching post or they take a bite out of the corner of a couch, we can go in and actually restore that right in the customer's living room. We do a lot of work for restaurants, medical clinics, a lot of work in planes and boats. Basically, anywhere there's leather, plastic, and vinyl, Patrick, we can go on site, restore it, match the color, put it back in use. And that saves our customers a lot of time because they don't have to worry about, okay, do I have to haul my couch to a shop somewhere? We can actually just go right to their home and do it. Saves them a lot of money over the cost of replacement. Furniture has gone up in cost a lot over the past few years. So consumers love us that we can save them money. And then the third offshoot and benefit to this is it saves items from prematurely ending up in landfills. So there's a green aspect to what we do, which consumers really like, actually. Yeah.
And it seems like you guys were definitely ahead of the trend and probably accounts for some of that, growth in terms of at the franchisee level. And I'm sure at the consumer B2C and just the number of businesses that you now serve, it's got to be a crazy number.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. We were kind of green without knowing it. I think when the company first started, there was a built-in inertia that this is just what we do. We keep items from landfills. And then as that became more and more prevalent in the minds of consumers and businesses, we were just kind of like, hey, yeah, I guess we're a green company, without really trying. And yeah, we've had a lot of franchisees come to us who are purposefully looking for green companies or eco-friendly companies. And we kind of put ourselves into that slot naturally. So yeah, it's helped growth on both sides of the business.
And how would you say for franchisee, year one or, scaling up to year 5, kind of the mix of revenue between those companies, B2B, the restaurants versus B2C, that pet owner that's getting their couch repaired?
Great question. It's a sliding scale. So when franchisees first start out, a lot of their work is from their neighbors or their friends or, their family members, just kind of bringing work to them. A lot of work comes in through their website. We do a lot of web marketing to help them get started. So a lot of that is really B2C. Consumers are finding them directly and they're just doing work kind of one-off scenarios. But over time, as they start to really grow roots in their community and their territory, businesses start to discover them. Car dealers, furniture stores, RV dealers, medical clinics, restaurants. And then that commercial work starts to grow over the first few years of operation. So it usually goes from an 80-20 split at the beginning, meaning 80% consumer work, 20% commercial. And then over time, that model flips where 80% commercial work is the norm and 20%, consumer work is always in the mix.
And I imagine the commercial work can be a little less of a grind for the business owner, where he's not constantly selling and putting himself out there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's almost baked in work. A lot of franchisees have relationships with, let's say, car dealers, for instance, where they say just every Tuesday, can you just show up like Tuesday morning? I'm going to have some new inventory that'll be traded in or whatever, and you just come and do whatever needs to be done. Same thing for RV dealers. Maybe it's a restaurant every month. Just go in and do some touch ups on all the seats that need to be done, kind of thing. So it keeps scheduling easier. It's almost mailbox money in that,
Yeah, sweet.
it's repeatable. So it's good. But then the consumer work is good because it's cash flow. You get paid on the spot. There's a feel good factor to it. You can see the
Probably
reaction
the
of the customer.
margin can be pretty good on the consumer
It
business.
is absolutely. Yeah. So it's a good mix having both revenue streams, commercial and consumer.
Knowing you, knowing Fibrenew, I know what's attractive to the business model, beyond what we discussed today. But what led you to join the organization as well as become one of the co-owners at the franchise brand level?
Little bit of right place, right time, Patrick. I think a lightning bolt was sent down from the universe and struck me one day, so to speak. I actually come from an IT and technology background. Went to school for that. That was my early start of my career. I ended up starting a small consultancy company, and that's really where the start came from with Fibrenew. So they needed some work done very quickly one day, sent out a request for a proposal. We were one of the recipients of that. Me and my two employees worked. I remember it over the weekend. I think the RFP came in on a Friday. We worked on it over the weekend, had it to them Monday, and by Tuesday morning, we were hired. So it happened very quickly. They just needed some web work done. They needed some back end IT work done. That's what we did at the time. So we just started working, on websites, and then that worked
So it
into,
was a
well,
client.
it started out as a client. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it turned into, well, can you build some internal software for us? We need, our intranet rebuilt, and we need some CRM tools built. So we started doing that. And then it became, well, we need some help with web marketing. Can you help that? And one of the guys on my team was a specialist in that, so he started doing all the SEO stuff, and the other guy was building software, and I was kind of piecing it all together. And then it just built and built to a point where they said, "Just come work for us. Just never mind all your other clients. We want to be your number one client." So
Was that tough, dropping your other clients and going all in on this initiative?
it was a big move, but it was a pretty simple decision when we looked at the opportunity that Fibrenew was presenting. And the other thing that really drove me personally was the chance to be part of something quite large and quite exciting. When we started working with them, they had just crossed the 100 franchise mark, and so there was this feeling of some steam really being built, and this was just about to take off. So we got in at a really exciting time, and the company's since tripled in that time. So, I mean, things are even more of a fevered pitch right now, which we love. But just to be part of kind of a growing legacy, I guess, was really a deciding factor for me personally. And then thankfully, I had some other connections in the tech community that I was able to transition the other clients to. So they were looked after. They were okay. Then we could just focus solely on Fibrenew. And it's obviously worked out beautifully.
Definitely seems like a strong community culture that you've built at the brand level and down to the franchisees and
Mm-hmm.
build off each other. But what are some cultural attributes that you look for in franchisees?
Well, we should really start with our CEO and the founder of Fibrenew International, Michael Wilson, because a lot of his personality and his traits is just, solely infused in the DNA of Fibrenew that we know today. And that's really to be collaborative, to work together, to work hard, and to have fun. And that's just the way we operate to this day. So for someone looking at us as a business opportunity, if they're seeking any one of those four things in their life, which a lot of them are corporate refugees that say, I want to get out of this office grind. I'm not feeling supported. I don't want to do the 9 to 5 thing anymore. I want to have more fun. I want to, do all these other things with my life. All of those are really kind of the pillars that we stand on at Fibrenew. So it really starts with the way that Michael wanted to run the company, the way it's still operating today. And then for people seeking that, it's a match. It just kind of naturally happens.
And are there any particular markets in the US that you're really excited to open up in?
We have presence in a lot of the primary markets, Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, Denver, and whatnot. But there's a lot of opportunity in secondary and smaller markets, like Little Rock, Arkansas, and Wichita, Kansas, and Springfield, all the Springfields all over the country. There's a lot of kind of smaller centers that actually make really great territories for franchisees. We've seen that where they are operating in smaller cities. Logistically, it's easier to get around. It's a little bit more tightly knit community wise, so that word of mouth advertising for your service becomes quite easy. So yeah, we're probably looking at another 250 franchises or so in the US alone, with those smaller centers primarily.
And then as it applies with Visa franchise, we've had an E-2 Visa client before. We have a few others in the pipeline moving through the process. What makes it a good fit for someone moving to the US? And many of these folks are opening a business for the first time in a new country.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the things to think about there is certainty. So what I mean by that is what we do as a service is needed. So when you open up a new franchise, well, let's go back one step, Patrick, too. I mean, when you're moving to a new country, there's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty alone, right? Where am I going to live? Am I going to make friends? Am I going to fit in? Am I going to enjoy this? It's exciting, but it can be a little bit nerve-wracking at the same time. I think where Fibrenew may help with that is when you move to a new city in the US, the service will be needed. So if you open a Fibrenew franchise, you know that consumers and businesses alike are going to need your service. There's leather, plastic, and vinyl everywhere, and will eventually need you. So I think that's one thing, is certainty of service. It's a proven business model. We've been operating since 1985. So the proof is in the pudding, in that what we have built, we know will work. It doesn't really matter the city. There's always a need for it. I think that's another plus. The other plus is that cultural aspect of how we operate our business, and really the sense of community in Fibrenew. We want to help each other all the time, whether it's our support staff working with you as a franchisee. Your neighboring franchisees are always there to welcome you, help you, work with you. You have a lunch date, no matter what, built in with your neighbors. You know what I mean? There's always that sense of, hey, let's help each other. And again, that flows right from the top with the way that Michael structured this company. So I think certainty of service, that sense of community, and the proven business model could be three things that, could maybe calm the nerves in looking for a business opportunity with Fibrenew.
And the investment amount's not so bad, and it kind of looks like to check the mark for the E-2 investment, substantial amount.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fairly low initial investments, $89,000, and that's for the territory, the products, the tools, and the training, all included in that. We recommend $15,000 to $20,000 of working capital. So that brings you up to about the 110 mark or so, all in. And then you need a vehicle. So you have to account for that as well. But even all that said, Patrick, it's still a fairly low investment compared to maybe a traditional brick and mortar franchise, where you're talking about a lease and capital improvements and hiring a bunch of people and equipment. Yeah, it's pretty simple that way. And then the monthly operating costs are pretty palatable as well. We run a flat rate royalty system. So there's a 6-month ramp up. From the day you start, you've got a 6-month grace period to get your business up and going. Royalty payments start in month 7, and they're flat rate. So they're $795 a month, and they stay at that until the beginning of year 2. And then there's 5% incremental increases. But it's different from what most franchise concepts do, where you have to pay a percentage or a royalty, of course, in your revenue.
You could be penalized for selling a ton.
Yeah, it's almost like a tax of your success. You know what I mean? The more you grow your business, the more revenue that you realize, the more you have to pay the franchisor. It doesn't work that way with us.
There's some nice models like I've seen in the pet space that do a similar thing, and even in health and wellness. You don't see it very often, but I think it can align incentives appropriately.
Yeah, I think that also takes one of the unknowns out too, doesn't it? I mean, looking down the road and budgeting.
For the franchisee also to conceptualize, it's like, okay, for $799 or $1,000 a month, if I were to run this business myself, would I have to, pay for some market analyst part-time to help with the branding and the go-to-market? Would I have to pay for this, that, and kind of figure out, okay, For $800, like it's probably more like 3K, 4K for what
Yeah.
Fibrenew is able to deliver here.
Yeah.
Probably makes sense to do, but it's not that complicated of an exercise to go through.
We don't think so either. There's tremendous value baked into the services that we provide our franchisees, from the support hotline, all the staff here to answer questions that you have, all of the software to operate the company, or sorry, your company is in there, the web marketing. So we have a team here that does your website, all of your SEO stuff for you. There's a lot of nationwide relationships with baked in work, from warranty companies and retailers and whatnot. That's just part of the Fibrenew package. So
That's a nice way to earn your keep. So you say they get like a 10K annually recurring revenue with a local restaurant chain. Like
yeah, that pays your
that's
fees right there.
what are some ways that people can really scale up the operation? And, we have some clients that are happy, running a 2-employee, 5-employee mix of contractors, employee, and other ones that want to really scale up. Does Fibrenew give that optionality?
It's completely flexible, Patrick. So we have a lot of franchise owners who want to actually retain the owner operator scenario because they're looking for simplicity. Maybe they came from a scenario where they were managing a team. They had a lot of responsibility spread out amongst a whole bunch of people. With Fibrenew, you have the option of just running it yourself if you want. I mean, you can handle the inquiries, you can book yourself, you can do the work. It's really quite simple. If you want to scale and grow it, you're going to need more people in the business. So some franchisees will actually start out first hiring an admin. So someone to answer the phone, answer the emails, get back to customers, eventually quote, schedule, find parts, order products, all the things, kind of back office wise. It's pretty easy to find someone to do that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people with that type of experience already. And then if you just want to go out and do the work that the admin schedules you for, that's a great model.
And if you do the work, whether it's for 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be much easier and you have a lot more credibility to then train people and hire people.
Exactly. I mean, you're starting to build the foundation to actually really scale, because then adding another technician and yourself with the admin, they're kind of quarterbacking everything, is quite simple, right? The framework is there. Some franchisees will first hire a technician. So maybe they want to do more of the admin work themselves. They want to be the face of the company, answering phones, returning emails, all that kind of stuff, and have a technician out in the field doing the work. That works as well. We have some franchisees with 10 technicians, doing 7 figures a year. A lot of franchisees will keep it small with just 1 or 2 employees. It's completely up to you. We don't do any mandates. We don't push you to structure the business in any way, shape, or form. It's your business, and you can run it as you want.
Is there anything that we didn't discuss today that's frequently asked or that people should know about Fibrenew?
One of the questions we get quite a bit is just, how do I make money at this exactly? Can I make money at this? How does it work? That's a question when you're starting any business, really. But to boil it down to Fibrenew specifics, the work is always there. We know that. As we talked about, it's a proven business model. And if you're nervous about getting out into the field and starting to run the business, we can help you with that. We can show you where to go, who to talk to. As we talked about, we're going to get your website up and running, so customers are going to start to come to you. We've got some of those baked in relationships with warranty companies and retailers that will start to come to you. So it can be a very natural start that way. And then it just starts to build upon itself, and it almost starts to create a vacuum, and the referrals come and the word of mouth comes. Once you get rooted in your community, you start to know your neighbors and, start to make friends. Again, it just starts to build naturally. So that's one of the biggest questions we get from people looking at us is, how do I get started? How do I make money? Where do I begin? And we just want everyone to know that we've helped hundreds of people do this. We can help you as well. We know it's there, and we're happy to help you.
And compared to some other franchise brands that our clients have investigated, it seems like franchise candidates have a fairly easy time, getting a call with a franchisee that's able to jump on, talk about their experience, and really validate the brand.
We're big on that, Patrick. We say that you can phone anybody in the company. So if you go to our website, go to the locations page, we have all of our franchisees listed there. And we want you to talk to as many as you can connect with. we, even when we give you our FDD or disclosure document, we have past franchisees' contact info in there as well. We encourage you to phone them,
Yeah.
get their
I
experience
haven't
as well.
heard a franchisor say that yet. And I've spoken to, we've had interviews of probably 50 plus over
Yeah.
the last 9 years.
Yeah.
I encourage it because you have the FDE from that year. You can see who left the system in the last year.
Yeah.
Vetted Biz or sister company, you go a few FDDs back and call. But it's good to hear the good and bad. And you're probably going to come across some major success stories from former franchisees. Not necessarily talking about Fibrenew right now, but people that had an amazing exit and sold for a high return. And then other
Absolutely.
people that it wasn't a good fit. They weren't dedicated and they ended up, closing or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's an experience worth hearing.
It is. Yeah. And that's part of the due diligence you should do with any franchises. Talk to as many people as you can. I talk to every candidate as well myself. I want them to get to know me. I definitely want to get to know them. We answer questions. We go through the process together. So, right from former franchisees to operating franchisees to our warehouse staff, to me at the president level, you can talk to anybody, and we're big on that. There's glass door policy, I guess,
I
as you
love
could
it.
say,
The
right?
transparency.
Yeah.
And the continuity as well,
Yeah.
in terms of your corporate structure and the ownership's closely held. It reminds me a bit of like a Chick-fil-A where it's, the founding family, they have a very clear vision. They stick to it, compound year over year growth.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of franchises, private equity has been a blessing for some franchise groups, but for franchisees and other organizations, it's been a bane. So with contracts being misaligned and the hold period of the private equity firm and the length of the franchise agreement with the franchisees. So it's nice to see that, everyone's on the same page, and it seems like across the organization, people are aligned.
Yeah, we definitely still have the family operated feel going here. And again, I think a lot of prospective business owners are looking for that, aren't they? Maybe they're leaving a employment situation that was too money first and too kind of like, corporate governance kind of thing. And they're actually seeking something that's more comfortable. And we can definitely offer that. We're a business, we got to make money, but we're people first. We want to see the success of the franchisee and the individual first, and the money will flow after. That's what we believe in.
Well, Jesse, thanks so much for joining today. I really appreciate all you do for our clients at Visa Franchise. And I look forward to seeing you guys as you hit the 400 mark.
Sounds good. Yeah, we hope you're part of that. And we should mention too that one of your candidates is streaming along and looking at training in just a few weeks with us. So thanks for that.
Great.
Yeah.
No, of course. Appreciate it, Jesse. Patrick. Thanks so much.
Take care.